Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
This is our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel and like the video.
Also, check out our podcast below in the description. Haberman, that's him. Middlecoff, that's me. Come on, people.
Let's get into this, John. Caesars released NFL over-under win totals, and they got the Raiders at... Oh, that's their schedule. 7. Interesting number. Now their schedule pops up. Home games, road games. I want to say that my answer is over, but we got to go through this and see if I can get the Raiders to 8 wins. What's your first reaction to that number?
Well, they've won 11 games in 2 years under Gruden.
That's an average?
I think just total. They've won. So if you average it, they won 4, and then they won 7. And I think, okay, let's throw the first year away and let's look at last year. And a lot of people were like, oh, they made strides. Well, they were 6-4. Remember, they upset the Colts, they upset the Bears, had a lot going for them. Down the stretch, guy, at 6-4, you're in the driver's seat to be a 9-7, 10-16. They lost. I'll even throw away the Chiefs game. They ain't beating the Chiefs. You have nothing in common with the Chiefs. My issue was you went to the New York Jets, who their quarterback had mono. Everyone acted like Adam Gase was on drugs. They were in shambles, and they kicked your ass. And then
people acted like he was on drugs because he refused to give the backup quarterback any first-team reps.
Yeah. They had issues. The Jets, again, 7-9 season. I feel like the Jets 7-9 season is probably more promising than the Raiders 7-9 season because, again, a couple weeks later, playing the Jaguars at home, last game in Oakland, and they lose. And I have a hard time just thinking that there is much carryover
don't
from
forget
the
about
good.
Don't forget about getting blown out by Tennessee, who turned out to be pretty good, but
yeah, that's why the Tennessee game and the Chiefs game, I'd leave. I know, but Tennessee's on a completely different. Tennessee was in the AFC Championship. I view it more like the Jets and the Jaguars that the Raiders go, we're better than. You ain't better than the Jets because they went 7-9 and you went 7-9. If anything, they lost fucking Sam Darnold in quarantine before we knew what quarantine was because he had mono, and they kicked your ass. And my other issue with that is, okay, the Jaguar game was a little weird. I just don't trust this team post like Halloween on the road because the weather changes. Derek has not been good. Isn't it kind of crazy that when John Gruden, for a long period of time, he's on Monday Night Football, because we kind of forget his Tampa Bay run, whatever. We get Monday Night Football, and he's just known offensive guru, hanging out with the quarterbacks. I bet he's like a crazier version of like Lincoln Riley runs into Andy Reid. And then you watch what his offense is, and it's just pretty vanilla. Now, when he has a dominant running game and his offensive line's healthy, he can kick your ass. But his defense has been atrocious, and they're very dependent on Josh Jacobs, that just his physical style. Can he give you 16 games at a high level? They're basically depending on Josh Jacobs to be Ezekiel Elliott. Like that's what they need him to be. And Zeke's proven, and he proved it in college, like you can give me the rock every game. Where Josh didn't have to do it at Alabama. He's clearly a really talented. Do you trust Josh Jacobs playing at a Zeke level for 16 games and just carrying the franchise? It's difficult.
No, I don't think that'd be reasonable to put on anybody, but I do think he showed that he can be a really good running back. I think the counter to everything you're saying, Raider hater again, is despite all of those things that went wrong, they won 7 games. They were 3-3 in the division. I think, Denver might be better. The Chargers, I guess they should be better, but Tyrod Taylor's never won more than 8 games as a starter, or they've got a rookie.
So Rivers was atrocious versus the Raiders last year. Atrocious.
But I'm not sure they're getting better quarterback play against them by LA this year.
To me, it can't be any worse. And I think the roster for the Chargers is dramatically better on paper than the Raiders.
That's true. But the Raiders are going to have a returning quarterback in all likelihood, if that happens, in a year in which those sorts of things are going to matter. Now, so will Denver, so will Kansas City. And if it's Tyrod, so will LA. So maybe that advantage is mitigated a little bit. They had a stretch of 38 days without a home game last year. Their one home game was in London. Thank you very much, Vegas. One of their first-round picks, Jonathan Abram, didn't really play, got hurt. Their defense was really bad, 24th in the league in points per game. So we're not talking about going from 7 wins to 9 wins. We're just talking about going from 7 wins to 8 wins. Now, maybe the real answer here, John, is they win 7 again, but it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch that this team is 7-9. The question is then, can they get to 8? Because the number's not 6.5. The number's 7.
I would lean the over, and I view them probably in the 7 to 9 range. So at worst, I'm pushing. My concern, though, for them to taking a big step is like some sleeper, can they make the 7 or 6 seed, would be whoever they draft at wide receiver in the first round. There is going to be a tremendous amount of pressure on that player. I think if we just, what would they need from that guy to be a playoff level team? You'd probably say 80 plus catches, right? I mean, like a guy in the mix for rookie of the year to go along with Jacobs rushing for 1,200, Waller having another Pro Bowl season, Terrell Williams playing like he did with the Chargers is like a solid 2/3. Renfro maintaining his ability, which I think Renfro's the guy, least of my worries. I just think they're going to treat whoever that CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Ruggs, whether they Ayuk, whoever they get, as he's going to be their number one wide receiver, right? That's just the way teams. If you're playing the Broncos, you're getting their best corner. When you're playing the Chiefs, you're getting their best corner, and like Honey Badger's sneaking over there. The Chargers are giving you Cam Hayward. The Saints, you're getting that guy's getting CeeDee Lamb's getting Marcus Lattimore. The Falcons, if they draft, rumors are they might trade up to get C.J. Henderson like that. You're just the Patriots. Boom, Gilmore's on CeeDee Lamb. You see what I'm saying? Like, and that player that everyone's like they're gonna miss a receiver, they're gonna get one and be fine. It's easy for Juju to be the 2 as a rookie, right? Or Devontae to ease in with Jordy. It's another thing to like, boom, even Debo. When did Debo take off last year? Once they traded for Emmanuel Sanders. It's like you kind of get to there. CeeDee Lamb's going to be like, damn, I'm getting the number 1 treatment day 1. It's that you agree that's going to be difficult for that player. Just historically, it is.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and that's where I say again, we're not. The number 7 doesn't mean are the Raiders about to be a playoff team. It just means are they about to be a 500 team if they can get to 8. The schedule, obviously, you see the NFC South in there this year, and the AFC East. So that means, and this is weird too. We said this. We've been saying this like we don't even know what home games and road games mean necessarily, based on fans or no fans. Even if there are fans, we don't necessarily know what Vegas is in terms of home field. And if the thing that everyone's been saying for years, being a home team in Vegas is going to be huge because everyone's going to come in and they're not going to go to bed until the sun rises. So who knows? Maybe that's a factor. But their home games, the Colts could be better than they were last year. The Bucks better than they were last year. The Dolphins could be better than they were last year. The Bills really good. The Saints, their over/under number's 10.5.
Well, another thing, the schedule's supposed to come out within the next
May 9th.
month, May 9th, where Denver and Kansas City on the road fall for them, which the last several years has been in the month of December. They have to keep their fingers crossed that hopefully they get one of those 2 games in like September or October.
Not to mention, John, the Jets and the Browns.
So if I tell you that 3 of their 4 road games post mid-November are Browns, Kansas City, Jets, like that takes on a new meaning for this team and this quarterback who, like the numbers speak for themselves, has been atrocious when it's cold.
And add New England. So the odds are,
these places are just cold.
Right.
The odds are that
at
minimum
least
they're getting 2 in December.
Yeah, at least 3 of those games it'll be cold in all likelihood.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over because I think they were 7 wins last year and just a lot of they missed opportunities, and I think the red flag you raise of, okay, getting to 7's one thing or getting to 6 is one thing, right? Being 6 or 7 and being 8 or 9, they sound really close. They're not necessarily that close because if you're an 8-win team, it means you're playing games with pressure on you. Because if you're an 8-win team in a conference that 7 of the teams make the playoffs, that means there will be weeks down the stretch of the season where we're talking about, can you be a wild card team? So I think that's a fair concern, but I do think they should be incrementally better on defense, and that should go a long way.
To me, I might have a new opinion when I see the setup of their schedule, because there are a team that you get Brady week 1 when he hasn't factored into the offense, or you get him week 10 when he's under control and knows what's going on. what cold games do you get late? Do you only somehow avoid 2 of them, right? I'm fascinated to see their team, and their trajectory is very dependent on the way their schedule and the dates of the games.
By the way, I realize I because of something I said, we're kind of contradicting. Philip Rivers was bad against them last year, but I said the Colts should be a little bit better this year. Well, they have Philip, so I don't know. We'll see.
It's a good question.
All right, let us know in the comments what you think.